Buckle up, everyone, because today we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of materials engineering.
It really is fascinating. It's a field that's kind of hidden in plain sight, wouldn't you say?
Totally. We're talking about the masterminds behind the materials that make up, well, everything around us.
It's true. Everything from the phone in your pocket to the car you drive.
Exactly. And to guide our deep dive today, we're tapping into the insights from RoleCatcher.com. We're going to break down exactly what a materials engineer does, what skills are needed to excel in this field, and how technology is playing a role.
It's a rapidly changing landscape, that's for sure.
So let's jump right in. What does a materials engineer actually do? Can you paint us a picture?
Well, imagine, if you will, a chef. But instead of combining ingredients, they're combining the properties of different materials.
So they're like the culinary artists of the engineering world.
Uh-huh. I like that. They experiment with things like metals, polymers, ceramics, all to craft innovative new materials with specific properties.
Okay, so it's not just about knowing the periodic table by heart.
Definitely not. It's about applying that knowledge to real-world problems. Let's take airplanes, for example. A materials engineer working in aerospace might be tasked with finding a lighter yet stronger material for an aircraft's wings to make it more fuel efficient.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I never thought about the materials used in airplanes.
It has a huge impact. A small reduction in weight can lead to significant fuel savings and reduced emissions over time.
That's amazing. It's like a ripple effect of innovation.
It really is. And that's
Okay.
just one small example. These engineers are involved in developing everything from those more efficient solar panels you mentioned to creating biocompatible implants for the human body.
Biocompatible implants. Now, that's something I've always found both fascinating and a little intimidating.
It is incredible. We're talking about materials that can seamlessly integrate with the human body.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about airplanes and implants. Where do materials engineers actually spend their days? Are we talking labs, offices, factories?
All of the above, really. It really depends on their specific role in industry.
So it's more dynamic than just being stuck in a lab all day.
Absolutely. You might find them in a lab conducting research, but also on the factory floor overseeing production, or even in an office collaborating on designs with other engineers.
It's definitely more collaborative than I initially pictured.
Oh, without a doubt, collaboration is key. They work closely with other engineers, scientists, technicians, and even government agencies to make sure their creations are safe and effective.
It's starting to sound like a career path that requires a pretty diverse skill set.
You hit the nail on the head. You need a strong foundation in science and math, no doubt. RoleCatcher's data highlights the importance of mastering scientific methods and applying them to solve complex problems.
So it's about more than just knowing the theory.
Exactly. It's about critical thinking, problem solving, and being able to apply your knowledge to real-world scenarios. Think of it this way. If a bridge fails, it's often a materials engineer who's called in to investigate.
Really? Why is that?
They're the ones who can analyze the materials, consider environmental factors, and even look at the bridge's design to figure out what went wrong and how to prevent it from happening again.
So they're like material detectives. That's pretty cool.
That's a great way to put it. They need to be able to analyze data, think critically, and come up with creative solutions. And the learning never really stops.
I imagine the field is constantly evolving with new discoveries.
You're absolutely right. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that materials engineers are always attending conferences, reading up on the latest research, and staying ahead of the curve in a field that's constantly pushing boundaries.
It sounds like a career path for those who are truly passionate about lifelong learning.
Absolutely.
So for those intrigued by this detective work, how does one even become a materials engineer?
Well, a solid academic background is definitely key.
Are we talking years of hitting the books? What are the typical paths people take?
A degree in material science is a popular choice, of course, but, it's a pretty diverse field.
Oh, I bet. So there are different ways to specialize.
Definitely. Some people go for chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, or even dive into really specific areas like, polymer science or ceramic engineering.
It's like choosing your own adventure, but instead of fighting dragons, you're like manipulating the building blocks of matter.
Huh. That's a great analogy. And like any good adventure, the learning never really stops.
You're right. RoleCatcher mentioned that materials engineers are constantly attending conferences, reading research journals, that sort of thing.
Exactly. It's a field that's constantly evolving, so you always have to stay sharp.
What are some of the things that have you most excited these days?
Oh man, there's so much cool stuff happening, but I'm particularly stoked about nanomaterials.
Nanomaterials. Okay, now you're just using sci-fi words. What even is that?
So basically, we're talking about manipulating materials at the atomic and molecular level. It's like unlocking a whole new dimension of possibilities.
That sounds incredibly complex.
It is, but the potential is mind-blowing. For example, imagine being able to create materials that can filter and purify water at a molecular level.
Wow, that would be game-changing.
Right. Think about the impact on areas with limited access to clean water. Or how about using nanoparticles to deliver drugs directly to specific cells in the body, minimizing side effects?
It's like something straight out of a futuristic movie.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it's becoming a reality. And it's not all about those super high-tech applications either. Even finding more efficient ways to recycle and reuse existing materials, that's a huge area where materials engineers are making a real difference.
So with all this incredible progress, how does one even begin to navigate a career in such a fast-paced field? It feels a bit like trying to catch lightning in a bottle.
It can definitely feel overwhelming, especially with how the job market is constantly changing. That's where technology comes in. Platforms like RoleCatcher are using AI to make the job search and application process much smoother.
RoleCatcher seems to be popping up everywhere in our conversation. What makes it so useful for aspiring materials engineers?
Well, for one thing, their platform can analyze job descriptions and identify those really specific skills and keywords that employers are looking for.
Ah, so it takes the guesswork out of tailoring your resume?
Precisely. They even have tools that can analyze practice interview responses.
Really? What kind of feedback do they give?
They can assess things like clarity, conciseness, and even whether you're using the right technical jargon. It's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
That's pretty incredible. And speaking of the future, how do you see AI further impacting the field of materials engineering down the road?
Oh, the possibilities are truly endless. I mean, right now it's helping people find jobs, but imagine AI actively assisting with the actual research and development process.
So it could accelerate the pace of discovery.
Exactly. We could see breakthroughs happening at an even faster rate. Now that's a future I'm excited about.
Me too. Okay, so we've covered so much ground today, from the intricate work of manipulating materials to the global impact of these innovations. It's mind-blowing to think about these engineers working at such a microscopic level to solve massive real-world problems.
It really is. They're kind of like the superheroes of the engineering world, wouldn't you say?
Totally, but with lab coats instead of capes.
Huh. Exactly. So, as we wrap up our deep dive today, let's bring it all together.
Yes, let's distill the essence of materials engineering for our listeners.
At its core, it's all about understanding how the properties of materials, from the smallest atom to the largest structure, can be harnessed to solve real-world problems.
We're talking about creating lighter and stronger materials for aircraft, developing more sustainable packaging to reduce waste, even engineering those biocompatible implants you mentioned to revolutionize healthcare.
And don't forget about those nanomaterials. Who knows what incredible breakthroughs we'll see in the coming years.
It's truly an exciting time to be following this field. And for anyone listening who's feeling inspired, what would you say are the key takeaways, the things to remember about materials engineering?
Well, first and foremost, it's a field that demands a unique blend of scientific knowledge, critical thinking, and a healthy dose of creativity. You have to be able to see the world a little differently.
To look at a problem and imagine solutions at the molecular level.
Exactly. And secondly, it's a collaborative field. Materials engineers work closely with other engineers, scientists, and even policymakers to bring their innovations to life.
It's a team effort, like most things in life.
Absolutely. And lastly, it's a field that's constantly evolving. So be prepared to never stop learning, to always be pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So much truth in that. Well, I think it's safe to say that we've uncovered a treasure trove of insights in today's deep dive. A huge thank you to RoleCatcher.com for providing such a rich and insightful resource. Be sure to check them out, folks. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of materials engineering. Until next time.
It's been a pleasure.